All right, guys. So I've got a very interesting interview, and it's Tom from Devvio. Wow, this is like my 18th, ICO interview, blockchain interview. I'm getting the good projects out there. I'm interviewing great guys like Tom, with Devvio. They're really trying to revolutionize the fastest blockchain industry, especially when it comes to decentralization. They're really trying to scale Devvio to be the leading pack out of all of the other guys that are also in the race. And one thing I like about Devvio is they put their neck on the line. Tom is putting his neck on the line. He's telling us about Devvio. He's telling us what is going on with Devvio. And it's great to share this to my 25,000 followers because, as we know, blockchain is revolutionizing. It's changing every day, every second. There's something happening. There's a buzz, there's a trend. And what I like to say to my audience is, guys, stay tuned to these interviews because these are the guys that you need to talk to. And this is not financial advice or investment advice. This is just purely an educational video about what Devvio is doing. So, Tom, welcome to the interview.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Nazareth.
So, Tom, Devvio, wow, it's one of those things that is trying to be fast. It's trying to be scalable. What made you start the project? What made you wake up one morning and say, you want to take on, the world and make a really fast, scalable blockchain such as Devvio to really take on the competitors in this space? What happened?
Sure. Yeah. So just kind of as a real quick background, I'm an experienced entrepreneur. So in my last business, a robotics business, we raised about $34 million, took the company public. We licensed on the order of about $100 million of video game development that we used with our robotic device. Our robotic device was the world's first 3D touch device. So we added the sense of touch into computers. Right. And to make a long story short, in the end, we sold our IP in that company to Facebook. So that was my first company. And so I'm kind of going to your question, what got me into this in the first place. I'm a tech entrepreneur.
You got into it, yeah.
Yeah, right. So I'm a tech entrepreneur. And the way I really got into things was it started with a patent that we had submitted a long time ago and actually has become a pretty relevant patent in today's world. And so I won't go into all the details of what the patent really entails, but we wanted to leverage that patent into growing into a new area. Because one of the problems with patents and IP is they can you can find yourself where you get a judge ruling, for example, that you get a bad Section 101 ruling, for example, something like that, and all your value can suddenly be gone. So we wanted to expand into other areas, and that was about the time that cryptocurrency was starting to become really hot.
So about like 2015, 2016, or way before that?
No, yeah, but a little about that kind of time frame, maybe a little after that. And so a little over a year and a half ago. Okay. And so again, having a lot of my background in the video game space, that's where a lot of digital currency started. So I followed digital currencies my whole career. You starting with EverQuest Gold and then World of Warcraft Gold. Right. I had a website in kind of the mid 2000s that had a digital currency, and then because I've been interested in digital currencies, I followed Bitcoin from an intellectual level since about 2011-ish. But really started looking into the crypto space itself, again, like a year and a half ago. And so I went through the Bitcoin white paper, understood not only how it works, but why it works. And it's amazing. Bitcoin is just brilliant.
It's amazing. I think it's the greatest invention maybe of our time.
Yeah. It is amazing. But the challenge, though, is when you start really looking at building a business in the blockchain space, there were a lot of problems that still need to be solved.
Right.
And there weren't any solutions that really solved what we needed to solve. And so in general, if you build a house on a faulty foundation, nothing good is going to come of that, right? So I started designing our own protocol, and that's what's turned into the Dev blockchain. And so the challenges I saw were scalability. Bitcoin can handle 5 transactions per second compared to Visa's 40,000, right? Privacy is a huge issue. Fraud, theft, and loss. Coming from the tech space, and go getting into cryptocurrency, I was
Right.
amazed in general by the way things work. It's like, oh, another $100 million worth of cryptocurrency was stolen, and everybody just shrugs and it's like, oh, that's just the way it is, right? But you
Yeah.
can't run a real business that way. So I looked at all of these problems in the space and really designed a protocol to address them. So we created our own consensus algorithm called proof of validation, and then with
Yeah,
that
we'll talk about the fundamentals of Devvio in a second. And I think it's great where you're going on with this, that you created a scalable project. What is Devvio in a real sort of nutshell, so we can then kickstart it off and sort of know what they do, sort of thing?
Sure, yeah. So Devio, I would say, is the world's enterprise blockchain, right? So when you're
Right.
talking about corporate use and enterprise use, I think that's really going to be where we're strongest. And the solutions that we've created address the problems that are most prevalent in the enterprise space. So really, enterprise users, the single biggest requirement for them is cost. And so if you want to have a competitive blockchain, and have blockchain solve corporate problems, you have to be, cost efficient. And so again, that's one of our biggest strengths. Our transactions cost on the order of 1/100,000th the cost of Ethereum transactions. So transactions that would cost $100,000 on Ethereum's blockchain cost $1 on our blockchain, right? So very
Right.
inexpensive, very efficient, scalable. We have the privacy solution that works within government regulation, and then we have fraud, theft, loss solution. So when you put all of those pieces together, we're the first blockchain that solves all of those problems in a single solution. And really, that's the first time that you can start using blockchain for real business.
Right. So Devio is basically trying to be the fastest, the most scalable blockchain. We've got other blockchains like EOS and Ethereum and Zilliqa. Now, we've looked into what Devio is and why you kind of started the project. Are you trying to lead in the race in terms of trying to outpace these guys, or, obviously you're trying to make it so fast? What is it that Devio is trying to do that the others can't, such as EOS and Ethereum? Because blockchain right now is quite open to a lot of smart contracts. What is Devio doing to really make its ground?
Yeah, so I think it's two pieces. One is the technology component
Right.
itself, and so again, we're the first blockchain that solved all of the biggest challenges in the blockchain space, and you have to solve all of those challenges in one single solution to really be something that's going to be used across worldwide global types of applications and scalable applications. And so you have to have a blockchain that can scale to millions of transactions per second if you're going to get into Internet of Things and supply chain and financial transactions, things like that. You have to have privacy that will work within government regulation.
Right.
You need truly private transactions. That's critical for a lot of businesses.
And that's what Devio provides, right? All of that, the
Yeah,
privacy.
all of these concepts, and then again, similarly, the fraud, theft, loss, concept. You can't have where massive sets of assets are gone
Right.
and there's no
No,
recourse,
that's not good.
right? You have a system built in for it, especially again when you're using it for real business. So kind of the
So you
first half
protect
of
the
the answer.
users. You protect the users in your blockchain sort of system, right?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Whether the user is an individual or a corporation, right? And blockchains in general are immutable. And so how do you have, chargebacks in an immutable system, right? So what we do is we have kind of an escrow system that we call Dev Protect, where transactions get put into this escrow kind of holding period or other kind of requirements. And then we can send an inverse transaction. And like you said, it protects, the users, whether it's again, a corporation or an individual. And so we've got all of the pieces that corporations need. So that's one of the things that I think really distinguishes us.
That's good.
Similarly, we've got a lot of intellectual property. The very first thing we did, most of my career had, big intellectual property components. So one of the very first things we did was just submit hundreds of pages of patents, and we really hashed through all of our IP before we told anybody what we were doing, right? And then once we got to that point, then we proved that the technology works. Then we let people know about it, right? So we have an alpha version of our blockchain that we benchmarked at 8 million transactions per second. We internally proved to ourselves that it would work. We didn't tell anybody what we were doing really until we got to that point. And then once we got to that point, then we announced it. So again, it's more of a traditional tech type of approach. We're not saying, oh, we're going to do all these amazing things. We proved it. Now we're moving ahead on it. And then I think the last bit of it is execution. So we have
so important.
What's that?
The execution of it all. It's really important.
Yeah. So again, coming from kind of a tech background space, we're going to build a real company, and we have a team that can do that. And so all of our team members have been through this before. We've gone through productizing software. We've done global sales of software. Fully tested and quality assured software. And then my partner in growing Devvio is Ray Quintana. He's a very experienced venture capitalist. He did strategic development at companies like Texas Instruments and Robert Bosch. Then he got into venture capital, and his venture capital company was one of the top performing early stage venture capital companies in the country. So very experienced guy. He's done 30 co-investments with Global 500, 60 partnerships with Global 500. So he's the kind of guy that can put these types of deals in place, and I have as well. So Ray and I working together, I feel like we really will be able to execute. And then we've got the technical leadership too. Bill Anderson, our CTO, Nick Williams. So we've got the team to really, really execute and make Devvio a success.
That's really important, guys, because obviously with any blockchain company, a lot of factors come into play: transactions per second, how privy the network is, how you sort of trying to entail and lure investors to obviously invest in the platform as well. Because as I say, we have a lot of smart contracts out there, and I think the race right now in the blockchain space is to see how fast and how scalable it can be. So when a utility token launches on your platform or a service as such, Devvio is leading the pack in that area. Now, my next question to you is, how serious are you as contenders in this space? Like I mentioned, we do have the EOSs, we do have the Ethereums, we do have the Zilicas, I can name a few more, but I like the fact that Devvio is trying to, be the fastest. Do you think speed is a big issue now?
Well, speed is one factor. So our overall throughput, getting into millions of transactions per second. But I think
so you said a million transactions per second with Devvio, right?
8 million.
8 million, right? That's quite a high number.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I mean, really, and we could even surpass that. So our system is scalable to any level that you really need, right? So we've solved that problem.
Doesn't that take out? I'm very interested, because I'm sure my audience are very interested as well. We're all blockchain fanatics. A lot of my audience are crypto devotees. That's quite a statement there to say you can actually pull out 8 million transactions. That means, with what Ethereum is doing, you're technically more faster than Ethereum,
Yeah, so, we're the fastest blockchain in the world.
Right. That's a very, very huge statement. So I think personally, when I just heard that, and I'm sure my audience heard that, alarm bells must have been ringing and question marks in their mind must be going off. Do you think now with what Devvio is doing, and I like the fact that you mentioned that about Devvio, is there a space now that Devvio can take over Ethereum? I mean, I know it's a huge statement, but do you think Devvio is trying to lead here?
Yeah. We intend to be the leader in the field. So you have companies like Hashgraph, Ripple, EOS. Those are the companies that I see as our competitors, and we expect to be a leader in the space. I think we've got big competitive advantages. They've got lead time and they've raised a lot of money, right? And so they've got competitive advantages too, of course. But We've got very strong IP. We've got a very strong team. We've got the best technology in the space, the most scalable blockchain. A lot of our IP is actually blocking IP. I think we can have, the best privacy solution, true privacy other than
Which comes with
court-ordered
Devvio, right?
transparency. That's all Devvio. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So when you take all of our competitive advantages and a team that can execute, I think in general we've been flying under the radar up to this point, but yeah, we definitely intend to be a leader in the space, maybe the leader in the space.
I think that's pretty amazing what you guys are doing, and I'm sure I suggest to my audience to check out Devvio, because I think the race to the forefront of blockchain technology, one of them is going to be speed. The other one is going to be security. Now, in order for a smart contract to survive, with EOS, with Ethereum, you need dApps built onto the system. You need, this is the whole purpose of blockchain, is to provide a decentralized smart contract solution. Do you think Devvio is going to lead in terms of actually dApps now starting to build on your system? If they don't need Ethereum and Ethereum is slow and Devvio can do it faster, why on earth would they want to go to Ethereum? Let's go to Devvio. Would you agree?
Right. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's our biggest strength. We are going to be the enterprise blockchain. So the majority of the growth in the blockchain space over the next couple of years is going to be enterprise use. So big corporations doing global use of blockchain, and we're the best solution for that. And so there's lots of smaller companies starting up, and I've had a number of companies come to us and say, you're exactly what we're looking for. Like, you enable our business model.
Yeah, right? That's what would happen. Yeah, in this sort of area, it's exactly what people are looking for.
Yeah. So I think from kind of the small, early startup type of companies on to big companies that are tackling problems like supply chain, right? Our blockchain has all the pieces to make those businesses successful, and again, at the most cost effective way. We're 100,000th the cost of Ethereum. So you want to get to a point where you can scale. You want to, again, build your house on a foundation that's going to be stable over time. But really the bottom line is cost, and so having
for the better, right? The cheaper.
Having an ultra efficient system like ours that's very cost effective is the most important thing for driving use of our blockchain, of any blockchain.
So my next question to you is now, we did touch upon about dApps being built. How are you leading in this area now? I mean, what are you guys trying to do to be leading industry players? There's some big statements being made on this interview that I've never come across other actually blockchain solutions, as fast as Devvio, because Devvio, is actually leading the pack. So some big claims are being made here, and it's quite interesting as well. How are you trying to lead now? I mean, obviously you need dApps to be built onto Devvio, and that's how you're going to kind of move forward. What's going on with that?
Yeah, so again, most of what we've been doing has kind of been flying under the radar, establishing our technology, establishing our IP. But I think soon we won't be under the radar anymore. So internally, a lot of what we're doing on the business development front has been meeting with companies across the world, really, looking to get them working on our blockchain. And so we're just about to release our testnet, and that's a big milestone for us. So the testnet should be out. We're looking to do it on 10/10, a nice binary sounding kind of date for software. Yeah, right. So software always can be delayed a little bit, but it'll be soon. Close to that, if nothing else. So we're going to have the testnet out. We're building an application that's built on top of it. The application is going to have like test coins that you can use, where a company can show their assets on our blockchain. And then, by the way, you can do 8 million transactions per second on it, right? And so we're going to have the blockchain running, the interface to it, and then we're doing a lot of business development. And I feel like all of that is coming together. And I feel like we're getting close to a tipping point where things really are going to start accelerating quite a bit faster.
So that's exciting news for Devvio to actually now get this testnet out, right? Tell us about which is coming out on the 10th of October, right? So how far are you into development now? And tell us about your token. I mean, is it actually fully blossoming in the sense that you've got something that is a working product? Because investors these days, they like to look at something that is actually working, it's going to solve a problem. Do you think Devvio is providing that?
Yeah. So again, we didn't announce anything about our company until we had a working alpha version of our test net. So we proved that everything worked before we let anybody else know about it. Again, it's a more traditional kind of tech, type of approach versus, I think a lot of the crypto approach has been, we've got these great designs, they're gonna do these big things, and you let everybody know, right?
Yeah,
So
but
we've had
some of them fail as well, and and right now the ICO market's on the topsy turvy. I would say just clinging on an iceberg, because right now the market has gone down, and investors are very now. I say very interested in what the next project is going to be, but also very aware of where the money is going to.
Yeah, definitely. The markets have definitely changed over the past 6 months, and so yeah, we've been getting the technology working. We
Right.
shifted from software research to now software engineering, and software engineering is just execution. And we have leaders in our technical group, Bill Anderson and Nick Williams, that are leading that. So that's just again a matter of execution. And so with the testnet coming out, and we've already had other companies coming in and using our code as well. So with the testnet coming out,
Right.
more people will be able to see it. But anybody that we want to work with at this point can come in, have access to the code, see how it works with their system. We actually, this is an interesting story. One of the companies that started working with us, they started out and they said, we want to make sure you understand that we're not going to be exclusive to your platform. We want to explore it and see how it works. And I was like, yeah, of course. You guys got to figure out how to run your business. They spent a month kind of working with our code, getting their applications working, and came back to us and they're like, do you think you guys could be exclusive with us? Because they liked our platform so much and they saw what it could do. So we have a working system. People have been using it to build their business on, and then with the testnet coming out, that's going to really start expanding.
I think that's amazing. I think you got a test net. That's what people like to hear. Obviously, let's try and aim to get the working product out as well, because obviously that also lures investors into actually looking into Devvio, and also seeing how serious of a contender you are. Now, tell us just a little bit about your token, Devvio. Does it actually reward investors and customers in terms of using the blockchain? I know, other dividends such as Neo pay money to, obviously, for those who hold Neo. Does Devvio provide anything like that?
So our native token is called Dev. And so
Right.
it's the Dev cryptocurrency. And so the way Dev is the currency that our customers use to pay for services on our blockchain. So if you're a medical company and you want to hold your medical records on our blockchain, or if you're a hardware manufacturer and you want to handle your supply chain, on our blockchain, or if you're a financial institution, you want to handle financial transactions, whatever it is, you'll pay Devvio with Dev. And so Dev is similar to gas, I think, in some ways with Ethereum, except Ethereum, it's calculated with on-chain transactions. In our case, it's an off-chain transaction that
Or Neo,
handles the.
yeah.
Yeah, right. But it is similar in the sense that it's the oil that makes our system work. So anybody that wants to use our blockchain will pay us in Dev. So if we really do become the enterprise blockchain, and we're able to become a leader in the space, and that's where the majority of growth in the blockchain space is, the Dev platform and Dev itself could become very valuable, of course.
Now, where do you see the market going with Devvio? I mean, you're saying you made a statement there that you'll be the leading player in this market, and obviously you're looking to overtake. Maybe, who knows, you might even start to compete and overtake Ethereum one day. There's always a possibility that, how the internet boom happened, pets.com went down, then we had Amazon, we had Facebook, we had Airbnb, all these new projects now, such as, are starting to evolve. Do you think, where do you see the market going with Devvio? Because it's quite interesting, some of the stuff you've said in this interview, and I think my audience is going to really pay attention to this.
Yeah. So I don't want to overstate. Of course, we're an early stage company, like everybody in the blockchain
Like
space,
everyone, yeah. But
even the big
those
companies.
ones can always do really well in a few years' time. You never know.
Yep, right. Yeah. Well, that's a big part of it too. Getting a company that's before they've
Mainstream.
had the big jump, is valuable too. So everybody in the blockchain space is early right now, and so it's kind
Right.
of, to me, where the internet was in the mid '90s.
That's right.
Bitcoin and Ethereum, to me, the analogy I would make is like Napster. They showed us the way, but they're not the platforms really that can grow and scale and
That's what I
expand
mean.
where it's going to grow.
Right.
So I think it's going to be companies like
Devvio.
us, Stellar,
Ripple.
Hashgraph, Ripple, companies like that have good solid teams, good solid products. The tech is solid. They've got their head on straight about how they want to go. I think of us as one of those companies. Those are the kind of companies that are going to lead the future of blockchain. And again, I personally think the biggest area of growth by far is going to be in the enterprise space. And that's where we're strongest. So again, hopefully we can be one of the leaders, if not the leader, in kind of where blockchain is going.
All right, Tom. You think Ethereum's going to go down, and Devvio's going to go up?
Well, I think Ethereum is always going to have a place in the crypto space, but it's a great kind of testing ground, to grow projects. Similarly to my initial reaction with Bitcoin, I think it's brilliant. The concept that you could have a Turing complete system that's running in a distributed way, again, is just amazing. Hats off to everybody that developed Ethereum to start. But it like Bitcoin, it has a couple of fatal flaws.
And one of them is speed.
Yeah, speed is one of them. Now, there's sharding approaches where Ethereum is going to look to grow, but I think the biggest fatal flaw for both Bitcoin and Ethereum actually is governance. And the market and competition is changing so rapidly right now that if you want to really compete in this ultra fast, ultra high growth area, you have to be able to roll with the punches more quickly. And when you start looking at, again, where what's really going to drive enterprise use, it's cost. And so you need to be able to have an efficient system that works towards their solutions. So again, I think there's always going to be a place for Bitcoin, always going to be a place for Ethereum, but in the areas where there's going to be the most growth for blockchain and cryptocurrency, I think other companies are going to surpass them.
All right, that's a great answer. And I think I agree with you. I think there's gonna be other companies that will come along, and Devvio is one of them that's really kind of caught my attention. Just the fact that some of the stuff you said is quite intriguing. That you're trying to be the fastest and the most scalable blockchain out there. And I think my audience are going to be very intrigued to see that. But not only that, I think investors would also be intrigued. My final question to you is, where do you see the roadmap going now in the next 6 months? How are you trying to lure investors to actually come and look at what the platform, what it is?
Yeah, so we're mainly focused on growing the business. And so in the short term, we're doing our test net, very soon. From there, once you got the testnet out, within a few weeks, we're going to have the application built on top of it that ties in. The application is going to have the kind of first implementation of our fraud, theft, loss, and then it's going to have the first implementation of our kind of test coins. And it'll really be a sales tool for enterprise use. So that, these are big milestones for us. This has been over a year getting to this point. And then from there, once you have the testnet up, then it's going to be a good, solid, at least 6 months of robust security testing. One of the most important things you can do in blockchain is just make sure, blockchain innately is a strategy that's very secure, very robust, but you have to make sure the specific implementation is very robust. So we're going to do, security testing, bug bounties for security bugs in particular, and then the goal is to start putting test partnerships in place with corporate partners as well. So hopefully we'll have we've seen a lot of interest and a lot of excitement, but hopefully we can actually put some of those in place and really start pushing forward with real use cases. So
are you trying to nail the corporate side of Devvio and try and get more of those partnerships going? Or is this
that's our main emphasis right now is really corporate development. So
what about public development? Do you think you will also be open to other services as well?
Yeah, so in general, the Devvio blockchain, the Dev blockchain, is going to be a public network, and we want to build into the app where people can create their own currency. So we want to really make, kind of what Amazon did with AWS. They've got really nice interfaces and a really nice way to go in and scale your cloud computing. We want to do the same thing on the blockchain as a service side. So put nice interfaces in front of things, make it where you don't have to be a technologist to get involved in blockchain. You don't have to understand consensus algorithms. You have your assets, you have what you want to do on your business, and we give you a nice interface to do it. And that interface can scale as big as you're ever going to need, and it's very cost effective, and then has features like fraud, theft, and loss and privacy that you really need to grow a business. As we get all of that in place, it'll be open for anybody that wants to use it.
All right, guys. So there you have it. This is an interview with Tom. I think we should do a follow-up because there's a lot more going on with Devvio. I like the fact that they've got they're coming out with their test net, and they're really trying to make things happen. And I think there's been some big educational statements being made here, how fast this technology is changing. This is not financial advice. This is not investment advice. This interview is purely just to educate people about what Devvio is doing. And I do believe just by looking at it, there's going to be some great implications coming into place. Tom, it's a privilege to interview you. We can find you on LinkedIn, on your Devvio website as well. Is anything final you want to say?
Yeah, so one other thing I'll mention is community is very important to our effort.
Very true.
So we're starting a really big community site that's going to have where people can come in and do tasks and earn dev points. And then we've got an active Telegram group. The community's great. It's all built around respectful people and everything. So if you go to our website, you can go to devv.io, and then you can link into our Telegram site. That's a good place to get news. And then the community portion of the website will be out soon. It's not, we're testing it kind of at an alpha level as well. But that's the last thing I would mention is get involved with Devvio if you find it interesting. And I'm always available. Anybody can always talk to me directly on our Telegram channel. I answer every post.
Hook up with Tom, I think I agree with him. Community is so important. We need to get a good community of crypto devotees, blockchain experts. This is why I do these interviews. This is why I interview great guys like Tom, because they're telling my audience of 25,000 followers and growing very fast about what is going on with the blockchain technology. Tom, it's a privilege to interview you. I hope we can get another one of these rolling out because I think there's going to be some great things happening with Devvio.
Yeah, thanks, Nazareth. I appreciate the interview as well. It was great meeting you. So thank you.
There you go, guys. That's a wrap. This is Devvio. Do check them out. I reckon they're going to be at least one of the best blockchains. If not, they're going to really try and really change the market in the way things are going. This is a wrap. Thanks very much. Bye.
Thank you.
Cheers, Tom.